Hey guys, Undead Viking Zombie here, and today we're going to talk about the Indian Ride Command system and how to use it. The main reason behind this is obviously some of you may or may not have used this before, and there's a few things that we can look to avoid. Now, the first thing is that if you've not used the system, you don't know where to go. You think to yourself, okay, well, what do I do? So somebody says to you, go online and register. So you type in, as you can see from the thing here. So a lot of the pointing that I'm going to be doing is with my mouse. So if you look at the taskbar at the top, you just follow that. So if you look at that, if you've typed in Indian Motorcycle UK Ride Command login, and you'll click on the page that comes up. And if you look around, you'll see there's nothing actually to log into. There's no login link or anything like that. And the reason for that is because there's a specific web page that you actually need to go to, which I've got here. So if you look to that, if you log in, go to ridecommand.indianmotorcycle.com, and then set up an account and log in, and that essentially will take you to this page here. Now, this has got a fair few bits in it, although it looks quite simplistic at the moment. The first thing is obviously it's got details about your bike. It actually brings up a picture of what it looks like. Underneath here you've got previous rides that you've set up, and then it talks about getting a route started, updates, which is quite good, depending on what you've got. Now, I've got a bit too far there, go back. Over here, this is explanation of how to download these routes onto your phone, and then also onto your bike. But I'll get to that later. So the first things first. And let's just go with this as well. So it also carries some details around your maintenance record. I haven't really updated that, but obviously in hold all of that, you can update that quite easily. So really, these are some of the routes that I've organized before, and as you can see, I've actually deleted a good few as well, because I do so much riding. It just adds up, and you get too many links to look at. Anyway, getting back to why we're here, let's start planning a route. So basically, all you do to start planning a route is to hit that button, plan a route, and it brings up a map. Now, the first thing you want to try and do before you start logging locations, especially if you're doing rides in and around home, is to set up a waypoint, which you can use time and time again at your home location. So if I just scroll in here, so basically you can just scroll in and out with your mouse roller, or depending on if you're a Mac or not, and basically zoom into the location. So here is my location. So if I'm, for argument's sake, saying we're going to plan a route to Scotland, which is my favorite location, so the first thing that you'll do is you'll add a waypoint, because you need that to start so that you've got a point to navigate towards, and this makes things a lot easier. So if you add that waypoint, you'll see it comes up waypoint, and then you go add waypoint, and it'll bring it up on the right hand side here. So that will be the first part of your route. Underneath here, you can name it, and then you can add some details, but we'll get back to that later. So let's say we want to go to Scotland, and what better thing to do than to stop off at the boys at Saltaire Motorcycles in Edinburgh. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in Saltaire Motorcycles. Okay, so as you can see, it doesn't bring it up. So one of the things you can do then is you can either have the sat nav code and put that in there, or as you've got here, it's got links. So it activates all of the dealers and certain places along the route. So if you zoom out, you'll start seeing all of the Indian waypoints or locations on the map. So if we go then to Scotland, as you can see, I've travelled that quite a bit, and you head up to Edinburgh. There's Saltaire. So you just add that as a waypoint, Now that gives you a route, points 1 to 2, from where I am all the way up to Edinburgh. But the thing now is that you can see it's taking you all the way along the motorways. So what you can do is to make some changes to this route or add some extra points. Now, unfortunately, this system doesn't have a avoid motorways function, certainly not from what I can see, and I've used this extensively, but you can just easily add some points. So if we, for argument's sake, wanted to redirect a route down here, as you can see I've done that quite a bit, you add that as a waypoint. Now that's given you 3 points, as you can see there, but this is now a back to front route, because now I'm going all the way to Scotland and then back down here to go back to where I want. So all you do is you head down to the right here. You can actually move these locations around. So that's what you do. You take the third point that you've got now, obviously that's before Saltaire Motorcycles, you add that in there and you can see it's now changed the route. But that may still not be sufficient, and oh, I've just moved it. So you can move that quite easily like that, but obviously I tend to stick to a fixed waypoint, because that way I know where I'm going. So if we add Midwest Motor on there, that's great. So we just move that up, and that's in round. So now let's say, for argument's sake, as we've done now, we're on the route now, and we decide we want to move that across. Now the way to do that is, we'll just take it back to where it was. So the way to do that is to hover your mouse over the route, and it'll come up with that little dot. So what you then do is you click on that, and you just drag it to wherever you think you want to go, and then it moves. And the same over here, hover it, move it along, and it changes the route along. But a lot of the time you don't have a huge amount of control over it, as you can see what's happened here. So what I might have to do is I just have to take it up there, and it changes the route. So that's why I tend to add specific locations on, rather than doing that, because it's quite easy. You know, as you're moving along, you skip a waypoint, it'll reprogram some of the route, and you end up back to where you didn't really want to go before. So I would definitely, rather than doing what I just did there, add a waypoint. So the way to do specific waypoints is to zoom out like that, or zoom in, whichever way you want to say, and go to a route. So let's say I specifically wanted to go to this area here. Now I'm going to do two things here to show you. So one is, the thing is, I'm going to go and get to the point where that dot is there, and then I'm just going to click on it. It's trying to make me a liar again. There we go. So you click on it once, and it adds a waypoint. Okay. So what we want to do now, obviously, we want to make sure that it's in the correct order. So this is just an anonymous waypoint at the moment, but I'll explain why I'm using that in a second. So must move that there, just zoom out to make sure that it all makes sense for now. Okay, so that's fine, that's happened. Now the other thing that you can do as well, and this is what I tend to do, especially on the longer trips, is you can select specific points. So rather than adding a waypoint like that, let me just delete that. I could add a waypoint here, and that will be one of my stops. So add that. Now that's done. Now obviously what I need to do is I just need to realign that. Let me just double check that it's all good. As you can see, it follows the route, and you can do that pretty much anywhere along the map. Now the other thing that I tend to do as well is I look out for petrol stations. So that is another good way of doing it. So when you find a route that you want to follow, then zoom in and look for the petrol station. So if you say, like, I don't want to go along this route, I want to head more towards Baschurch or something like that. So what I do is I bring that up, I zoom in. Let's go to Whitchurch. Let's see there. There we go. So as you can see, here we go. Here's a SO that's come up. So this is what I tend to use as a location. I'll just click on that, add as a waypoint. Now, obviously, as before, it moves things around. So you just need to move around and make sure that that makes sense. Okay, so that's okay there. And that's what you do. So if you want to add some more points along the way, you know, so just click on it, add waypoint, Remember to don't forget to move it. So that's along there, and you can create a route. Now, I typically, especially when I head to Scotland, I tend to head along Windermere. As you can see, this is the route that I would normally follow, because obviously it takes you through Kirkstone Pass, etc., which is some great areas. And typically, this is my starting point, and I would head along here up Kirkstone Pass towards Scotland. Absolutely beautiful roads. But now that we've done that, what you do is you head over to the side here, and then you put a route name, Scotland, let's say Scotland Test. Now, the other thing that you do here is you can add some notes. And especially if you want to share this with people or for yourself, you can go around and make specific notes, put any additional addresses, and you can check that on your phone, etc. as you go along. It just helps you remember. Now, one of the other things that is quite good, especially, let me just add another an arbitrary point over here. So I'm just adding a point in here, which is after 6. So I'm going to add that point. I'm going to move it around. Now, this is a nondescript. It doesn't specifically say anything, but you can quite easily change the name of it. So you just click on there, go across, and you can change that. Let's say stop 1. All right, and now you've got that. So what we'll do is we added our notes, and we'll hit to save. Once it's saved, it takes a little bit of a time sometimes, and then it gives you your route like this. Now, let's say you've now looked at this and you think to yourself, oh, okay, I'm not happy with it. You can go back in and edit it. So you just click on edit, you make some changes. If you're happy with it, you can then share this with people. Now, the easiest way I found to share it is actually on your phone, but you can just copy a link or publish it to social media. I definitely would download it onto my phone first. So the way to do that is actually you don't need to do anything. What you've got to do is once you've programmed your route onto the online system, make sure that you then log onto the app on your phone. Now that will either be downloaded immediately, or sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But you just need to see as and when you go. Then when you get to your bike, you make sure that your phone is paired to your bike. Switch the bike on, or you don't have to start it, but you just have to switch the ride command system on. Then log into your app. You'll then see on the side, and let me just go back to the home page. You'll see on the side here, you've got that red arrow. So basically you click on that, and that means it hasn't downloaded yet. You click on that, and once it's been downloaded, it'll go to green like that. Then you go onto your sat nav, and you look at saved locations. And under saved locations, you will find the name of the route that you were looking for, and then you simply select it, and then off you go. Now, the other thing that you can do is as well is whilst you're on the route and you say, look, I've decided to change parts of the route and I want to skip a location. All you do is you can go onto your sat nav. There's a little icon on the top right which looks like that, where the little bike is here. And if you click on that, it gives you all the locations, and you can simply go skip or delete, and it'll delete it, and you can carry on. And there we have it. So it's a little bit of a tutorial. I hope you found this useful, and if you liked it, do me a favor, please hit that like and subscribe button. Really appreciate the support, and it makes a massive difference for us to keep coming back. Anyway, until next time, ride safe, and I'll see you soon.